I always wondered where I would be. In history class, when we talked about segregation, I always wondered where I fell as a Latina. I would close my eyes and picture my younger self approaching the water fountains and not being able to choose between the white fountain or the black fountain. Which side of the restaurant would I sit in? Which bathroom could I use? I looked at the curriculum and squinted as hard as I could, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't find my face in the textbooks. I wasn't the little white girl drinking from the water fountains just as much as I wasn't the little black girl standing a distance behind her, dejected and stripped of her personhood. I felt erased, invisible. And it took me until college to put into words the way that the dominant white culture has swept away my fragile identity as if it were dust in the corner of an abandoned room. I never really had a fixed identity. I was always stuck between the white and the black, never able to fully articulate the words that would claim my complex identity. And even though I had thought about race early on, so early on I could pinpoint it, I felt both privileged and not privileged, all at the same time, not white and not black. My classmates didn't even get it. To them, I was just white passing, but I was the only non-black girl at camp, the only non-black girl in my Girl Scout troop. Well, with the dominant white culture, I got pretty used to it. I saw the swastikas in the bathroom, and I watched as the black and white kids fight on the bus. I sat through classes where teachers had to justify affirmative action and explain why segregation was wrong, and the entire time I felt so queasy. It's a weird feeling to know in your gut that something is wrong and not have the words to articulate it. But now, I write children's books. I know it's a little nerdy and not necessarily what my parents had envisioned for their American dream. But I love it, and this is important to me. Did you know that 93% of children's books have a white protagonist, and that there are more books on animals than there are on little black boys? How are youth of color supposed to learn how to love and value themselves if they're not being represented? And the only time we get any POC history is if it relates directly to white history. Slavery, segregation, the civil rights movement, for example. Okay, class. Sure, the United States has a history of exploiting black and brown bodies to further their capitalistic agenda. But it's okay, because Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves in the 1800s and racism no longer exists. This is how our youth are learning about themselves. POC history through the foggy goggles of white eyes. Writing for children is helping to shape their minds and teach them new value systems. When my hands flutter across the keyboard, I think back to the young woman I used to be and I write her story. The story of someone who couldn't see herself in the world that she was forced to learn through.